The ability to get the duck.
Hello, Frank.
So here we are. Where are we? In Kensington?
We're in Kensington on our way to Holland Park to look at some beautiful peacocks and the Zen gardens and talk about the goddess of love.
Wow. Here in America, and I'm walking through London with Rashmi, and she's an expert in the healing and the ancient gods of Egypt, and we're going to talk. Hi Rashmi.
Hi, Frank.
So talk to me about Hathor. Who is Hathor?
Hathor is the cow goddess of ancient Egypt. She's one of the netters. She's very, very powerful.
What's a netter?
Netter is one of the gods and goddesses. Netter, Nitru were the gods and goddesses of ancient Egypt. But Hathor was very special because she was the sky goddess, the goddess of love, harmony, beauty, and she's very unconditional love, so it opens up the heart. And if you go into Egypt, then a lot of the temples are very much impulsed by the Hathor beings that are 13-dimensional, 13-foot tall beings. So they have these huge pillars with these beings with these big ears. But those are the Hathor beings from, whereas Hathor is their goddess. But she very much impulsed golden ages in ancient Egypt. And then when Atlantis sank, the wisdom was taken to Egypt.
How long ago did Atlantis sink?
I don't know.
As I understand, about 10,000 years ago.
So it was. It's debatable, but basically, when Atlantis came to an end, because there was a corruption of the priesthood and the magical powers, that those energies were taken to the Great Pyramid of Giza, and then the Syrians impulsed ancient Egypt via the Great Pyramid and the various beautiful temples all over Egypt. And it was very much the Hathor beings and the archetypal energy of Hathor that impulsed golden ages in Egypt, that led to the great pharaohs and all that wonderful spiritual knowledge. And I've been very connected to Hathor since I was a child. I lived in Egypt. I was conceived in Egypt, though I'm Indian, and I was speaking to this cow goddess in the sky when I was a little girl. My mother was wondering why I was talking to some invisible cow in the sky, and I didn't know what that was about until I met a psychic many years later who reminded me that I was talking to the goddess Hathor, and I was a channel for her. Since I was a very little girl, I had these special gifts where I could sense the rain before it happened and connect to the animals, and I knew that I had certain psychic abilities and gifts that had come with me as a child. And when I went to India, they got disconnected. But many years later, when I became a Reiki master, I decided that just being a Reiki master wasn't enough, and then I did Karuna, which is about compassionate action and the heart. But I wanted to understand the heart more, because all over the world I've been a student of metaphysics and spirituality and met many gurus and teachers. But I find my personal observation is that a lot of these teachers and gurus and even the students are missing the boat about opening up their hearts. So they're focusing on grounding, which is very good, or their crown chakras opening, their third eye's opening. But when it comes to the heart energy, the compassionate energy between one human and another, and the heart energy that connects us to all that is, which is one consciousness, that seems to be missing some of the time. And that's where Hathor comes in, and I think I'm one of the pioneers of this energy in current time, because it was lost and it got diluted, and the temples were corrupted in the past. And Virginia Essene and Tom Kenyon were impulsed by the Hathor beings and have written a beautiful book called The Hathor Material. And I give initiations into the temple of Hathor, the goddess Hathor energies, not just to Sekhem masters and Sekhem students, but also to other Reiki students.
What is Sekhem?
Sekhem is the power of powers, and it's been part of the Reiki system, because the Reiki system, if you continue studying beyond the master level, we go into the wisdom teachings of all time. So we go into the wisdom teachings of ancient Tibet, ancient India, ancient Egypt, the Celtic traditions, and the Melchizedeks that connect to Jesus and so on. So it's time for us now to remember the wisdom teachings of all time. And that's what we do. And Hathor is I feel, really important. And Sekhmet is the warrior aspect of Hathor. So Helen Bellow has, created a system of Reiki for Reiki masters called Sekhem. But it existed a long time ago. And Patrick Ziegler, who's a friend of mine, was in the sarcophagus overnight. He sneaked in the Great Pyramid, and that's when he had this great experience, and he brought in Seychim, and through Seychim, which Helen Bellow was part of that lineage, she took the energies and had recall of our lifetimes as Sekhem masters.
Sekhem is a Sekhmet in the British Museum, and in the Museum Metropolitan is that statue from ancient Egypt that has the lion head and the woman's body. So she's like the Kuan Yin or the Mother Mary of ancient Egypt, the lioness woman goddess, Sekhmet, right, or what?
That's right. Sekhmet has the headdress of a lioness, and it's all about power with humility, and it's about courage. So, just having humility on the spiritual path is no good. Just having power is no good. We have to balance power with humility, just as we have to balance grounding with the opening of the higher chakras. And in Sekhem, what we do is the energy comes from the crown into the heart, down to the very center of the earth, and back up through the hands. So it's a much more balanced heaven on earth energy of healing. And Sekhem is beyond time and space. So when you give the healing, it brings you into the here and now, and it happens immediately without big time delays, as we have in Reiki. The Reiki energy is very much from the higher universal life force into the crown, into the heart, and out of the hands. So it's very much the upper chakras. And sometimes, there's not a groundedness, and there's a bit of spaciness and a lack of focus with both the healers and the healies. And so we just progress, we progress from being the Reiki energy to the Seychim energy, which Patrick Ziegler got reconnected to when he was in the sarcophagus. He had this major heart experience in the middle of the night. And then Helen Bellow had recall after that. So each time as we're moving into higher consciousness, we are re-remembering, and certain pure souls are being made into channels, and then they're spreading that energy, hopefully. But it's very important for us to keep away from the politics of all these things. And in that sense, I'm a bit hesitant to create a system of Hathor, because systems have their own politics, and ultimately the Hathor energy is a very benevolent energy. It's the benevolent aspect of Sekhmet. She's the cow goddess. It's about emptiness within which great love can happen, unconditional love, and our unity with all that is. And the sky aspect of the goddess Hathor is about our expansiveness, that the universe is within us, So I think it's really exciting to bring this work to America and other countries for the first time.
Was there a connection with India, who considers cows as sacred in ancient Egypt?
Yeah, it's very, very interesting to see how the different indigenous spiritual systems of all the old, ancient traditions all have their amazing links with each other. So we have Kali, who's our version of Sekhmet, comes in to destroy the evil, but for the sake of the good. And that's what Sekhmet does. And then, the Celtic tradition has their version of that goddess, and so on. And we have Nandi, the bull, in India, and we very much revere the cow as well. And if you go into Minos, I think it is, in Greece, they also have very much this cow energy. And
right, the Minotauro.
In where is it? Knossos, isn't it? I'm forgetting now, but it's, again, it goes back a long time ago to the whole cow aspect of the Divine Mother energies.
Greek mythology has Zeus coming down as a bull and making love to Aphrodite and creating humans.
Right. So I would like very much to give these initiations now based on intuition and guidance to those souls that are ready to open up their hearts, and the energy works amazingly. You just channel it and it comes through, and it's very powerful, and unlike the other systems, it just happens. So it's very intuitive work, and I never know quite from one workshop to another what's going to come up. But we use these powerful master level workshops, and you don't really have to be a Reiki master anymore to receive these energies, because the planet is evolving so fast. People are waking up now. It's time to give it to people that are sincere. It's amazing to see how they can use this energy for clearing their emotional blocks so that they can move forward in love, joy, peace, harmony, and manifest, the people of their dreams, the creativity of their dreams, because Hathor helps a lot with creativity, and she was in fact the goddess of fertility as well of ancient Egypt. Very, very revered through many, many golden times of the different pharaohs in Egypt.
Wow, yeah. Well, obviously, if you're going to find a mate, and your fertility has something to do with that.
That's right. So and that goes into Egyptian Tantra, which was a very sacred thing, and it was different to the Indian Tantra. And Tantra isn't just about lovemaking and so on. It's very much about the interdimensional energy, about understanding unity consciousness and the yin and
joining
yang
the
energy.
etheric field and the whole mind, body, and soul of another person. Full merging, huh?
That's right. So I think it's time for us to open our hearts more, and it's been hard because all of humanity, I know this sounds like a very broad statement coming from me or anybody, but basically if we look around us, all of humanity currently is dying of a broken heart. We're all feeling broken-hearted because we've had lifetime after lifetime in the age of darkness, where we've had very tough times with love, and we've been dark, in the
but also the authority
time.
versus majority, and the political controls of people and the oppression of people.
That's right. So now as we move into the age of light, it's time for us to release and heal that pain, which each of us has a broken heart. It's not that some of us do and some don't. And as we heal that, then we help others, and we resonate an open-heartedness. And that open-heartedness is a key now to ending war on this planet, to ending the ecological destruction of this planet and what we're doing to our trees and not recycling, and how we're not honoring each other. Honoring each other is really, really important. The God in me bows to the God in you. I am
Namaste.
God, you are God. We are all one energy, and we can honor each other with our differences.
You would recommend, I imagine, a vegetarian diet to help stop war too on this planet, no?
I personally, I've come from a family of many generations of vegetarianism. My mother still doesn't eat eggs, and my grandmother didn't touch them, and they've never ate meat. My father didn't, and I didn't till I was 21, and I had to go to Switzerland. But I don't think ultimately what we eat matters that much. But obviously I do personally recommend a vegetarian diet, because it's much better for you. It's easier to digest, and it uses much less resources of the planet, because every piece of meat that we eat takes up a lot more resource, and there are people dying in many different countries of starvation, and that's something that we could look at and maybe change by just being vegetarian and using less resources so more people get food.
Well, thank you, Rashmi. How can we get in touch with you? Do you have a website?
Yeah, it's www.reiki-energy-mastery.com, and I'll be, I'm available to teach in different places, and very often I just, impart these initiations as an altruistic thing that I do for mankind, and sometimes I get a bit of payment just to cover my bills and so on.
How long does the initiation last?
Well, I do something called Hathor workshops, and you can do several, because each time you do a Hathor workshop, the energy comes in to help shift you in different ways and open your heart. The heart is like a flower, so each initiation, your heart is like a bud, and each initiation helps to open it a little more, to make it safer and start healing the pain, whether it was parental pain or pain of some separation or divorce or whatever, or past life pain around the heart. And so each time you open the heart more and more. So these workshops last about 5 hours. Sometimes I teach one-to-one and sometimes in groups, and there's powerful processes and Egyptian mystery school tools that are used to help clear the emotional body, the mental body, the physical, and the spiritual.
So the people go
open
into
the heart.
chanting or meditation? Or?
Well, we have meditation, and we use Egyptian sound, which honors the sacred elements: earth, water, fire, air, and ether. We use the ancient Egyptian chant, which is El Kalim Om. It's very, very powerful. We use sound signatures, which is the making of different sounds to help release different pains and emotional problems in the body. We use many different.
And that's what was
Egyptian
used in ancient Egypt?
That's right.
How did you get that information?
I've been initiated into every single major Egyptian ancient system that exists, and I've had lifetime after lifetime as a priestess and as a student in ancient Egypt. I'm a healer.
But I know, but modern
healer
Egyptologists and scientists look at these hieroglyphics and they're trying to determine a dead language. How could you feel secure about knowing the pronunciation of that dead language?
Well, we learn this psychically and intuitively through regressing to past lives, and also just through our knowing body. So when we work with Reiki, etc., we're not working from a scientific angle, even though the scientists ultimately get exactly what we get. So the scientists need to catch up with the metaphysicians, and they're doing that now. Quantum physics is doing that through knowing that a particle can exist simultaneously in two places at the same time, through knowing that time can be bent and that we can time travel. All these things have already been proven and discovered by scientists through experiments.
Yeah, we have it in our cellular
recall.
memory, right? In our bones and our cells. We go back millions of years as spiritual beings, right?
That's right. So, when you meditate in a sarcophagus in ancient Egypt or in some of the temples and you have recall, or when I, find out 20 years later that when I was a child I was talking to a cow in the sky, my mother told me I was, and then I realized that the cow that I was talking to was my connection to the ancient Egyptian, and I used to play in the pyramids by the sand by the pyramids as a child, and I have recall of things that I knew from past lives, even when I was a little girl. So, that's where I am. And then I grow up and I study Reiki, and then other people rediscover what I've discovered and create systems out of it. And these systems are now taught in their certification on it all over the planet. So,
do you give certificates?
Yes, I give certificates in Psycham. I don't give certification in Hator because, as I've told you, I don't want to create a system out of it. Maybe in the future I'll be highly guided to do so, but at the moment I just at the Hator level I don't give certification. But there is certification for Sekhem, for Seishim, for Seikim, for Karuna Reiki, which all go back to ancient Egypt.
Karuna, that reminds me of kahuna healing in Hawaii.
Well, Karuna is an ancient Sanskrit word, and it means compassionate action. So, just having compassion is no good. The hand, as Sai Baba says, the hand that prays is not as good as the hand that actually works or gives the money or helps people. That's really important. So Karuna means compassionate action, and we have Avalokiteshvara, which is Mahakaruna.
Is there any mention in the Vedas with this ancient Egyptian knowledge, or a connection or similarity?
I think that there is, but there hasn't been a lot of research done on that. But as we were saying about the cow goddess, for example, that was revered in both ancient traditions, and we very much revere the elements. The whole of the Vedantic knowledge of ancient India is based on the worship of the elements: earth, water, fire, air, and ether, and our sacred fire ceremonies and our chants. And it's a similar thing.
That's the same with the Native American traditions too. They
right.
go in the four directions: the grandfather sky and grandmother earth.
That's right. So we have all of this in all the traditions, and that's the beauty of learning the REM, which is Reiki Energy Mastery, where you begin to learn other systems, not just the Tibetan and the Usui systems of Reiki, but you start learning about much higher consciousness, and you have each initiation, which is an energy transfer and attunement, or a raising of your vibrations through meditation, and opening up, just like a TV needs to open up to different channels to receive those channels. It is something that anybody can have if they are connecting to their soul energy, their higher self, meditation, chanting, prayer, being still, and wanting love and unity and peace in their lives.
Amen. Hallelujah. Well, you want to tune into What's Ailing Healing America. That's non-commercial public access TV. I'm Frank Craven talking with Rashmi Khilnani regarding Life, love, and pursuit of happiness through studies of ancient Egyptian techniques of honoring Hathor. And that was, 10,000 years ago or 5,000 years ago. So the God is still around. Those ancient gods are happening just like people say Jesus Christ happened 2,000 years ago or Buddha, whatever. It was then, but it's still happening right now, right? Or what?
Time is simultaneous. Look!